Blomqvist. He's from Save the Children in Asia and is joining us from Bangkok. Olaf, good to have you with us. So just lay out for us, why aren't these children being protected in the nations where they have fled for protection?
Thanks for having me. I think your introduction said it really well, actually. This is a problem that really starts in Myanmar. The fact that Rohingya children are denied citizenship in their home country and denied legal protection, it really follows them wherever they go in Asia. So even as Rohingya children flee to Bangladesh or to Malaysia or to Indonesia or to Thailand, they're still stateless and they still lack those protections that come with citizenship. Another problem is that none of these countries have actually recognized the key strands of international refugee law, meaning that these Rohingya children actually lack refugee protections as well. So we're talking about 700,000 children who are all living on the margins in their societies and are all denied basic forms of protection, all denied access to schools and all denied access to healthcare.
I mean, I'm glad you mentioned the international law, because it does strike me as there is a duty on nations to protect refugees enshrined in international law as you lay out. So what can be done to help these Rohingya? Of course, they're one of the most persecuted minorities on the planet, and this next generation suffering the same fate as their elders.
Yeah, no, you're completely right. I think there's actually a lot that can be done, and part of the reason we published this report today is to show that there are both good examples from the region, but also set out the way forward for these countries involved. The situation is far from the same in all of these countries we looked at. In Thailand and Indonesia, for example, education policies are a little bit more progressive and they allow more inclusion of refugees in national education systems. They're not always perfectly implemented, but at least that shows what is possible, and it shows that what other governments in the region should be doing as well. But this is, of course, not just a regional problem. This is also something the international community must tackle. We've seen alarming drops in aid and in humanitarian funding over the last few years, including to Rohingya refugees in Bangladesh. And especially with the pandemic, this is really not the time to cut back on aid to vulnerable children who need it the most.
Absolutely. And finally then, Olaf, I mean, your report is necessary, vital work, but I do wonder if this needs to be raised up further. Is there any thought about taking this to ASEAN or even the United Nations?
Yeah, absolutely. We definitely think that ASEAN could play a much bigger role in bringing a solution to this crisis. One thing we've highlighted in particular is the boat refugees that we've seen over the last few years. Last year, for example, there were more than 2,000 Rohingya who took to boats to flee from Bangladesh. Many of them spent months at sea. We talked to children who saw their parents die because of a lack of water and because of a lack of food. But countries in the region responded not by welcoming refugees, but by closing the borders and pushing them out to sea again. And that's really something where ASEAN can show leadership by taking collective responsibility for refugees who are stuck on boats in the Andaman Sea.
Absolutely. OK, Olof Blomqvist from Save the Children. Appreciate your time and thank you, and good luck with your work. Thank you.